Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Tory. I'm a licensed realtor, and today I wanted to be able to bring you some valuable information about the real estate law side of our transactions. So today I have a very special guest, Melissa, here, and I will let her do an introduction.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa Douglas from Douglas Law Firm, and as Tory said, we practice in real estate law, wills, estates, and family law. Nice to be here. Thank you.
And thank you so much for having me in your beautiful office. And as you mentioned, you do have multiple locations as well.
Yes, so we have an office in Barrie, Bradford, and in Woodbridge, but we are also virtual.
Excellent. So one of the questions I do get asked by clients is, why do I need a real estate lawyer? So I would love for you to point out some of the highlights of the very, very important things that you do.
So it is mandatory to have a real estate lawyer on a purchase or sale transaction, and the main thing that we do is really look out for your best interest. So we're making sure if you're buying, you're getting clear title to the home. We're addressing any issues that we might find on a title search. We're just making sure the transaction runs very smooth. And even on the selling end, same thing. We're doing our title searches. A lot of firms don't do a title search on a sale, but we like to be proactive and see if there's any, mishaps or something that might come up and make sure that it's not last minute. So we like to know ahead of time. And again, just making sure that your best interests are being looked out for, and we like to get the agreements as soon as possible so we can review everything ahead of time and have that conversation with you.
Excellent. Since you mentioned title search, what is a title search?
Yes, so a title search is where usually the purchasing lawyer, they will conduct the title search on the property that their client's buying, and they're looking out to see who are the current owners of the property, what is registered on title of the property, so what kind of mortgages are on there, are there any liens on there, are there any notice of security interest that are registered on title, which means does the current owner have any rentals, like a water softener, any HVAC equipment, the water heater, whatever it might be, making sure that all of those things on closing will be removed from title so that you get clear title of the property.
Excellent. Another question I get asked, maybe you could talk about what is a statement of adjustments.
Yes.
And I often get asked in that statement, what are disbursements?
Yes. Okay. So statement of adjustments, your selling lawyer will prepare that document. So on the document, you will have at the top the sale price, how much the buyer then paid in a deposit. We'll do the adjustment for the property taxes. So let's say, for example, it's closing on June 30th. We will ask our selling client, how much money have you paid so far in the year for property taxes? Let's just say, for example purposes, they've already paid for the entire year. So what would happen is we say, okay, these are the total amount of taxes for the year. Our client has paid this much, so they've paid it in full. So from January 1st to June 30th, they're only responsible for that amount. So we'll do that calculation and then make sure that they get the appropriate credit on the statement of adjustments for the amount that they've overpaid for the year. Same thing for any fuel oil, like all of that is adjusted on the statement of adjustments. Or if there's a tenant in the property, or maybe it's a condo and there's a common expenses that were paid, again, we'll do those adjustments in the statement of adjustments. So that's the seller's lawyer's responsibility to do. And then when it comes to disbursements, those are third-party fees that your lawyer will pay on your behalf. So for example, if you're buying, we'll pay for the land transfer tax. We're going to pay for the title insurance up front. We're paying for all of the search costs, the registration fees from the Minister of Finance. So those are just some of the disbursements that you're looking out for. And two of them will really fluctuate based on your purchase price, and that's your land transfer tax and your title insurance.
Excellent. Okay, great description. And I love how the property taxes example, you gave that.
Yeah.
Breakdown of the dates.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you one question about what happens if someone backs out of a real estate deal. So let's do a two-parter. Let's answer it from the seller's perspective and then also from the buyer's perspective.
So first, if we're on the selling side, we're going to want to find out why are they backing out. Do they just maybe need an extension for a mortgage? So maybe we want to grant them an extension, or they just are not going to buy it anymore. So if they're just not going to buy it anymore, I always like to consult a litigation lawyer just to make sure that the client really has an understanding of all of their options. Are they going to sue? Are they just going to let it go and sign a mutual release and put the house back on the market? But you really should understand all of your options and what it looks like before you make that decision.
Right.
So I can give advice, but I don't practice litigation, and I always like clients to be fully informed.
Excellent. Okay. So that's from the selling side. Now from the buying side.
Yeah, so same thing. If we're already involved on the transaction and my client's having difficulties when it comes to their mortgage, we like to obviously get involved, talk to their mortgage agent, find out what are the issues, are they going to be able to even qualify for a mortgage, and then see if we can get an extension. But if they just can't do it, again, they're going to have to seek litigation advice to see what can happen to them if they don't proceed with closing on that transaction. Because again, unfortunately, it could be quite costly. You signed the agreement, you committed to it, and it is a firm and binding contract on that person or people.
And speaking of all this work that you may have to do, depending on the file, what's common range for typical lawyer fees?
Yep. So when there is no mortgage involved, our fee usually starts at around $995 plus tax, and then plus your disbursements. When there is a mortgage involved, then it'll start at $1,100 plus tax, and then plus your disbursements, which again are the third-party fees that we would pay.
Excellent. And just to throw this in here, some of the other things you do as well, which I'm going to be doing as well, is signing up for a will.
Yes.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about that and the importance of having a will.
So important to have your will, and actually all of our real estate clients receive 15% off of their wills and powers of attorney.
There you go.
And one thing I just want to bring up, you have to remember when you're owning property with somebody, you might own it as a joint tenant or a tenant in common. So if you're a tenant in common, that means if you pass away, your share in the property won't automatically go to the other person. It will now go to your estate, which means your will dictate what happens to that, your share in that property. So if you don't have a will done, then basically the government dictates what happens. So do you want to dictate what happens, or do you want the government to?
Excellent. So definitely a good thing to have. I haven't done one for years, but in connecting with Melissa, it's going to be our next topic to do. Okay, well, thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing your time and your knowledge with us. I hope you all were able to take a few points of valuable information that you can now carry on with you. Thank you for watching my channel, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.